Nearly 200,000 people, the largest crowd ever assembled for a football match. And for a moment, the only sound in the Maracan is 11 Uruguayans celebrating in the center circle. Alcides Guia would later say it best: only 3 people have ever silenced the Maracan: Frank Sinatra, the Pope, and him. Football doesn't just produce winners and losers. It produces moments that stay in the mind decades after the whistle, not because of the football, but because of what they reveal about the game itself. These are the 5 moments that broke football's heart. Let's go. Moment 1. Brazil, 1950. The Maracanazo, Rio de Janeiro, July the 16th, 1950. The match that decided the World Cup, and Brazil didn't even need to win it. A draw was enough. On home soil, in the stadium they'd built for this exact day. They'd beaten Sweden 7-0. Spain 6-1. The victory carnival was prepared. Newspapers had printed editions crowning Brazil champions before kick-off. Jules Rimet himself had written his presentation speech in Portuguese, and it started to script. Friar, 2 minutes into the second half, 1-0 Brazil. The noise must have been geological. Then Uruguay did the unthinkable. Twice, Schiaffino equalized, still fine. A draw wins it. And then, 79th minute, Alcides Guia, one-on-one down the right, exactly where he'd crossed from for the equalizer. And this is the detail the legend lives on. Barbosa, Brazil's goalkeeper, had seen the cross for the first goal, so he cheated a half step off his near post, anticipating another. Guia saw it and shot. Near post. In. 2-1 Uruguay. Silence. The kind of silence a nation never forgot. Brazil's playwright Nelson Rodrigues later called it our Hiroshima in Brazilian culture. That is not treated as hyperbole. Why it endures: Brazil never wore that white shirt again. The yellow and green the world knows was designed because of this defeat. Barbosa, the goalkeeper, was blamed for the rest of his life. Decades later, he said that the maximum sentence in Brazil was 30 years, but he had served 50. Heartbreak, at national scale, with one man carrying it. That's number 1, and if you're into football history told properly, subscribe to Pitchside FC and turn on notifications. Right, number 2 is the greatest team that never won anything. Moment 2, Hungary, 1954. The team that couldn't lose. Before the final, understand what Hungary were. In 1953, they went to Wembley and beat England 6-3, England's first home defeat to a team from outside the British Isles. A year later, in Budapest, 7-1. Still England's heaviest defeat ever, they arrived at the 1954 World Cup unbeaten in 4 years. Puskas, Kocsis, Hidekuti, Bodzik. The mighty Magyars, every tactical idea football now takes for granted, they were playing first. In the group stage, they beat West Germany 8-3 against a deliberately weakened German side, because Sepp Herberger, the German coach, had already decided that game didn't matter. Remember that. The final, Bern, July the 4th. Puskas, playing on an ankle injured by a German tackle in that group game, scores in the 6th minute. Zibor makes it 2 in the 8th. Over, except it rained in Bern that day. Heavy and continuous, and the Germans in revolutionary screw-in studs, led by Fritz Walter, who thrived in the wet, came straight back. Morlock in the 10th. Rahn in the 18th. 2-2, inside 20 minutes. The rest of the match is a siege. Hungary hit the post. The crossbar. Toni Turek, the German keeper, plays the game of his life. And then the 84th minute, Helmut Rahn through a crowded box. 3-2 West Germany. Hungary had 1 moment left. Puskas, in the 87th minute, puts the ball in the net and the flag goes up. Offside. The footage is grainy, the angle is poor, and 70 years later nobody can say for certain. Why it endures: the greatest team in football history lost the only match that mattered, beaten, not by a better side, but by rain, studs, a goalkeeper's perfect day, and a linesman's flag. 2 years later, the 1956 revolution scattered them. Puskas to Spain, Kocsis and Zibor to Barcelona. They never played for Hungary together again. The greatest team you've never seen win anything. Moment 3, the Netherlands, 1974. Total football denied. Munich, the World Cup final kicks off, and the Netherlands simply keep the ball pass after pass. Deliberate, almost arrogant. West Germany haven't touched it. Then Cruyff receives deep, turns, accelerates through the entire German midfield, and is brought down in the box. Penalty, the first ever awarded in a World Cup final. Neesens converts, 1-0, 2nd minute. Germany still haven't touched the ball. This is total football. Every player can play every position. When a defender goes forward, a midfielder covers. Fluid, Unmarkable, beautiful. The Dutch hadn't come just to win the World Cup, they'd come to prove football could be art. And for 25 minutes, they were right. Then Breitner equalises from the spot. Then Gerd Murderbomber, with his back to goal, turns in the tightest space imaginable. 2-1, and it's not even half-time. The second half is Dutch pressure. Chance after chance. Sepp Maier refusing to concede. The whistle. Wyatt endures. The scoreboard doesn't record who played the prettier football. Cruyff never played another World Cup. He retired from international football in 1977, at 30. And for decades, the mystery of why he skipped the 1978 tournament fed the legend, until Cruyff himself finally explained. In 2008, there had been an armed kidnapping attempt at his family home in Barcelona. He chose his family over a World Cup. The golden generation ended with nothing but a reputation, and that reputation became its own heartbreak. The greatest team never to win it, 2 to go. And these two are different, not teams, but single men, and single seconds. Moment 4. Roberto Baggio, 1994, The Divine Ponytail. Pasadena, July the 17th, 94. Brutal Californian heat. The first and still the only World Cup final to finish goalless. Penalties. For the first time in a finals history. You have to understand what Roberto Baggio was to that tournament. 2 goals against Nigeria in the round of 16, including an equaliser in the 88th minute of a match Italy were losing. The winner against Spain. 2 more against Bulgaria in the semi. 5 goals in 3 knockout matches, on 1 functioning hamstring by the end. The reigning Ballon d'Or winner, carrying a limping Italy to a final on his back. Il Divin Codino. The Divine Ponytail. The shootout swings both ways. Baresi over the bar. Massaro saved. Dunga makes it 3-2. And so it comes to this. Roberto Baggio, Italy's 5th taker, walking to the spot knowing one thing. Miss, and Brazil are world champions. There is no next kick. He places the ball. He runs up. He skies it. The ball clears the bar by a Mitre. Brazil sprint to their goalkeeper. And Baggio just stands there, hands on hips, staring at the ground alone in a stadium of 90,000 people. He doesn't move for a long time. Why it endures, most football heartbreak is something done to you, a bad call, a deflection, an opponent's brilliance. Baggio's is the loneliest kind, the thing he didn't do. The man who carried Italy to the final was the man whose miss ended it. He has spoken about it ever since the moment that never fully left him. 1 kick, 1 miss, 1 image that will outlive every goal he ever scored, 1 left. And if you've made it this far, you're exactly who this channel is. For subscribe to Pitchside FC, turn on notifications, because the last one isn't about losing at all. Moment 5. Zinedine Zidane, 2006. The last image, Berlin, July the 9th, 2006. The World Cup final, France against Italy, 1-1 in the 110th minute. Zinedine Zidane is playing the final match of his career, and he has been the best player on the pitch. A Panenka penalty in the 7th minute that kissed the crossbar on its way in. The tournament of an aging king. Spain, Brazil, Portugal, all dispatched. This final is meant to be his coronation. And here's the detail history loves. Italy's equaliser that day was headed in by Marco Materazzi. And drives it into Materazzi's chest with a force that drops him. The referee consults, red card, and Zinedine Zidane in the last match of his career walks past the World Cup trophy without looking at it, and disappears down the tunnel. France lose on penalties. Why it endures, Materazzi has admitted he insulted Zidane's sister. Zidane has never apologised. I would rather die, he said years later, and Zidane still won the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. But that's what makes it truly heartbreaking. The last thing one of the greatest footballers who ever lived did on a pitch was walk past the trophy into a dark tunnel. No goal, no farewell, no curtain call. The final act of a genius was violence, and the image is the thing nobody can unsee. 5 moments, 5 different kinds of heartbreak. Brazil 1950, a nation's soul crushed in its own cathedral. Hungary 1954, the greatest team that history forgot to reward. Netherlands 1974, beauty defeated by results. Baggio 1994, the weight of a nation on one man's right foot. Zidane 2006, genius undone by a single, irreversible second. Here's what connects them. Every sport has losing. What football has uniquely is scale and memory. When Brazil lost in 1950, an entire country felt it and renamed its own shirt because of it. And football heartbreak does something no other heartbreak does. Hungary 54 is what makes the Magyars eternal. Dutch 74 is the proof total football was too beautiful for this world. Baggio's miss doesn't diminish his greatness, it humanizes it. Zidane's headbutt doesn't erase his genius, it complicates it. And complicated is what we can't stop watching. Football breaks your heart, and then it builds a museum around the pieces. So pick a side. Which of these 5 is the most heartbreaking? And what does your answer say about how you watch football? The communal grief of 1950? The injustice of 54? The aesthetic loss of 74? The lonely agony of 94? Or the image of 2006 you can't unsee? All 5 in the comments. Best takes get pinned. Subscribe to Pitchside FC. Turn on notifications. Pitchside FC. Pick a side.